Hi everyone, and welcome to the Microsoft licensing update for the month of August 2021. I want to go through some things with you today. We're discussing the annual figures from Microsoft that they released last week. We're going to look into the product terms and the online services terms changes with some interesting things happening, like the addition of Windows 365 and other smaller items like Dynamics 365 and Azure Virtual Desktop that has some changes undergoing to it as well. So diving into the first topic, the press release last week from Microsoft on their annual figures. I've opened here the blog post that they created around it, and I want to jump right to the fiscal year 2021 results, where you can see that they show a staggering revenue of 168.1 billion. That's an 18% increase opposed to last year. Double-digit growth, massive, doing pretty well, I would say. And their operating income increased with 32% to 69.9 billion US dollar. So Microsoft clearly hasn't suffered from any COVID-related issues. Rather, they've been growing and growing. You see this trend in the entire IT industry, but this is a pretty mind-boggling number if you ask me. That's just a little recap of what they showed last week. I wanted to mention it. Make sure that if you haven't already seen this, that you're able to read this back and look at it as well. It's found on their website, on their press release webcast. That there's a summary of the webcast that they did, and it shows the numbers for the entire 2021, but it also shows the numbers for the final quarter that they had. Now, diving into the product terms and the online services terms, there's been some changes ongoing already throughout the month of July. I will cover those as well to the best of my ability, and some additional smaller changes, well, with one exception, for the August 1st release. So I will go backwards towards August 1st. When we look at July 7th, 2021, they added terms for the Windows Diagnostic Data Processor configuration in the use rights section. That looks like this. Just the first paragraph here. For Windows 10 Enterprise Pro and Education editions, Microsoft is the processor for Windows Diagnostic data collected from a device where the Windows Diagnostic Data Processor configuration is set by joining an Azure Active Directory account. And what this clause basically says is that they will treat your data as your data. They're stating that they are the controller of the data, and they will handle personal data in accordance with the Microsoft privacy statement that they have released on their website. You can find it at aka.ms/privacy. Then, secondly, on July 14th, they added a promotion. It's a promotion on Azure Virtual Desktop per user access. For the period July 14th to December 31st, 2021, you're able to acquire Azure Virtual Desktop per user access licenses at a $0 rate. However, this Azure Virtual Desktop per user access pricing promotion is available only to a customer's use of Azure Virtual Desktop per user access license to serve solutions to third parties on Azure. So this is not for your internal users, but this is rather if you're creating a solution as a partner, for instance, for other companies, and you're using Azure Virtual Desktop, you're in luck. For the entire period until December 31st, you're able to offer this to your customers free of charge. I would say, benefit from this. Then on July 30th, they added terms for the Azure Arc enabled SQL Managed Instance offer. I believe that's here. Yeah. This paragraph shows what Azure Arc enabled SQL Managed Instance, what your use rights are. So An Azure Arc enabled SQL managed instance are not assigned to any given server and are therefore not subject to the license assignment and reassignment clauses. Licenses are billed according to the terms of the license meter. Customers must connect to Azure at least once every 30 days via direct connected mode or indirect export mode. And the third, notwithstanding the outsourcing software management clause, customer may run Azure Arc enabled SQL managed instance or containers on Microsoft Azure, your own servers, or servers under the data name management and control of third parties, regardless of whether those servers are dedicated to the customer or not. This is quite an important clause because this states that you are not restricted by the standard outsourcing software management clause, which would require you to, and I don't think I have this open. I can open it up real quickly. Let me do that here. It's in the universal license terms for software. It's this clause where it states that you may install and use licensed copies of the software on servers and other devices that are under the day-to-day management control of authorized or outsourcers, provided all such servers and other devices are and remain fully dedicated to customers' use. So that's not of interest here in this clause. However, if you're making use of Azure Hybrid Benefit, this third clause does not count. And that's stated somewhere above here. Scrolling. There you say limited hosting rights for Azure Arc enabled SQL managed instance when using Azure Hybrid Benefit, paragraph 3 of the service specific terms for Azure Arc enabled managed instance does not apply. That's quite an interesting statement as well. If you're using Azure Hybrid Benefit, Microsoft still only allows you to use that benefit on Azure. So if you're using Azure Hybrid Benefit in conjunction with Azure Arc, then that clause does not apply to you. Going back here, they added the HEVC codec per device to the availability of the EA and EAS table. They updated the terms for Microsoft 365 Education A1, making Windows 7, 8, 8.1 or 10 Home a qualifying upgrade for the Windows 10 Pro education software. So if you have an underlying license, which is one of these, you can move to Microsoft 365 Education A1. Under the Dynamics services, they added intelligent order management and marketing additional interactions, tier 1 to 5. And those have a licensing minimum. So if you buy marketing additional interactions, tier 3, you need to have a minimum of 2 licenses, tier 4, 5, and tier 5, even 10 licenses. Now I want to go to the biggest change, which is Windows 365. That's a new entry to the product terms or the online services terms, as it's an online service. These are the entries for the Enterprise Agreement, EAS, and SE program that I'm looking at right now. It states that Windows 365 Enterprise is available in that program. It states the product conditions, terms of service, governed by the Universal License Terms for Online Services. Windows 365 Windows operating system is governed by the Universal License Terms for all software and includes specific terms in the Windows Desktop operating system. A license assignment, Windows 365 Enterprise License Assignment eligibility. If you're a user, the licensed user must be licensed with each of the following: Windows 10 Enterprise, Intune, and Azure Active Directory Premium P1 and P2. In addition to being available independently, all these licenses are included in these suites. So in order to be able to use Windows 365 Enterprise, you need to have these license prerequisites filled. On license reassignment, they write that replacing a user's Windows 365 Business or Enterprise license with another Windows 365 Business or Enterprise license does not count as reassignment, and you may make such replacements at any time. If you look at service-specific terms, there's terms around network egress, use as a server. You may not use this to perform server functions to devices outside of the service or to third parties. You may not use the service for sustained distributed computing or digital asset transaction validation workloads. And there's a large clause on data handling where Microsoft states how they go about data handling for Windows 365. Tied to this, and you might already have seen it previously, there are some other additions. So here on the Windows Desktop operating system page, you see the Azure Virtual Desktop per user and Windows 365 operating system clauses added. Universal terms for these, what they state is that the following universal license terms for all software do not apply to the Azure Virtual Desktop per user access, and they also do not apply to the Windows 365 operating system software. The rights to use other versions and lower editions, so both Azure Virtual Desktop and Windows 365, are always the current version. You are not allowed to use any other versions and definitely not other editions. Software assurance is not included in this service, so you don't have any software assurance benefits. And again, the outsourcing software management clause is not in effect on this. Now, here as well, when I discussed Azure Arc, you already saw that within the Azure page, or the Azure Services page, there's a big entry on the Azure Virtual Desktop per user access, which lists additional definitions, like what is an end user for this service. It's a third-party individual, so it's someone that is not working within your organization. And an Azure Virtual Desktop customer solution is an application or any set of applications that adds primary and significant functionality to the Azure Virtual Desktop. Well, what user rights are associated is listed. So it's for external commercial purposes to serve Azure Virtual Desktop customer solutions to third parties on Azure. Again, not for internal use, but for external services that you offer to your end customers, for instance. And there's all kinds of other entitlements, like end user entitlement, hosting entitlements. Additional to that, they list a lot of additional terms, indemnification support, and there is an end user agreement requirement. So a company must adhere to all these statements that they have added. A lot of legal jargon and language, but this is pretty standard for people that know the enterprise agreement and enterprise subscription agreement. These clauses should not come as a shock. Yeah, that was it on Windows 365. The final change, it's a minor one. They added Azure Time Series Insights to the list of Microsoft Azure core services. And those are the updates for the product terms and the online services terms for the month of August. So I hope you enjoyed watching. Again, we do these broadcasts every other month when there's a change to the product terms and the online services terms. I hope you keep checking in with us. And if there's anything I forgot, do mention and call it out, and we will be sure to make some adjustments there as well. I wish you all a very good day and talk to you soon. Bye.